Hey guys, it's me, Legomatic, and today I'm going to be doing a tier list on every single thing that came from the 2020 Star Wars Advent Calendar. I know it's a little bit late and that it's February, but I'm going to be doing it anyway. I mean, I've always wanted to do a tier list. This is my very first time doing one, so come along with the ride with me and we'll go along and get started. So, very first item here is we have the Lucre Hulk class droid carrier from the Trade Federation, and it was a pretty good build. It didn't have the best color optimization. There's that weird chrome bit in the back with the bowl, but it was also the very first time we'd ever gotten this build in LEGO, so I mean, they didn't really do anything wrong with it aside from that one color, so I think I'd go ahead and put it in A tier. I mean, it was the first time we've ever gotten it. They didn't do too bad of a job. Next we have a B1 Battle Droid. These are always good for army builders, and LEGO seems to be including them less nowadays, but then again we do get quite a bit of them when we do, and they're not the most exciting figure. They haven't changed the mold and there's nothing exclusive aside from the nice gun, which is always useful to have more guns. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in C tier. Third, there's this cruiser from the Phantom Menace, which there's only been a few of, and it does have a pretty interesting build. It's got the three little circular parts back there for the thrusters and the dish there. This is also a pretty obscure ship, so it's nice of LEGO to do this. And since it's not really as famous as the Lucre Hulk, and we have gotten this before, I think I'll put this in B tier. Now, just let me remind you, I'm going to be sorting these based on my opinion of the build or the figure and not on my actual opinion from Star Wars. Next, we have a Porg, and my problem here is that the year before, they gave us a Santa Porg, which had like the regular Santa hat, and then it also had a 1x1 brick that with studs on all sides that was red, which was a pretty rare piece to have at the time, and this time we just get a regular Porg. So unless you're doing a mock on Ahch-To Island, however that's pronounced, or if you're making a meme build, then I wouldn't really consider this to be super great. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in C tier. Alright, and then we have the Millennium Falcon now. Most people, they consider this to be an inferior Millennium Falcon to years past, and to those people I say you just like your Millennium Falcons chubby, because this thing is amazing. They've accurately proportioned it. They actually gave it they have the nice rounded cockpit. They have the slight dentation of the hallways on the side for docking. They haven't made it a full brick thick. They have like the fins coming out here as a single plate thick, and they use lots of nice curved tiles to give it area instead of using a one big dish piece. So I know this would probably be pretty controversial, but I'm putting this thing all the way up in S tier. I think it's the best Millennium Falcon we've gotten at this size yet. Moving on, we have the D.O. figure with the Santa hat. Now I will say it is nice to get D.O. There aren't a ton of sets that we get him in, and the Santa hat is nice, but then again, that is the same old Santa hat with the same old D.O. And I would have honestly preferred to get BB-8. I do not have BB-8 yet, but it was nice to get a D.O. figure. So I think I'll put him in B tier behind the cruiser from the Phantom Menace. Still a pretty good figure, but I feel like they could have done something else, like maybe give him a bit of a red paint job. Okay, and then there's whatever she's calling herself now, Rey Skywalker. So she is a bit of a mixed bag for me because she comes in a lot of sets, but then again, I don't get a lot of sets because I am a poor person. So a lot of the time, if I had more sets, I'd probably put her lower, maybe in C tier. but she does have that exclusive, she does have, not exclusive, but that rare hair piece of the triple bun. And back when I did have one other Rey figure from her speeder set, I lost the hair piece and I was devastated about that. So for me personally, I'd go ahead and put her up in probably the top of B tier. She's a pretty good figure. I mean, she does have the nice robes, her Jedi robes, which are pretty nice to get. Alright, and then we have an X-Wing. Now, they did mostly the same build as last year. They used those weird 1x2 with handlebars on both sides. They used that for the wings again with the lightsaber hilts as the guns. And it was pretty much the same as last year. They did sort of upgrade the front a little bit, as well as the engines on the side. So while it is a good build, it isn't really that much of a change from last year's beside the color change. So I'd probably put this as a low B tier. It was a cool build, but it was a new year. They could have done something a little bit different. But even though they did update, but since they did update the build a little bit, I'll move it up, maybe up to here actually. Alright, and then we have a Sith Trooper. Now, unlike the B1 Battle Droid, these haven't been coming out as much as we have these in the past, since these came from the latest Star Wars movie. So, since there aren't that many sets with them, although there was a battle pack for them, I will say this is better than the B1, and it does have the cool red color scheme. So I think I'll put him right behind Rey, as they're both pretty good figures. It's just that one we haven't gotten as much of as the other, and the other one I was just happy to get the hairpiece for. Then there's the Sith Dorito fighter. And something that was disappointing about this one was that if you look in the movie, they have the red outlinings on both parts of it, and on the miniature one here, you can see none of it. The entire theme, basically, of the Final Order was to be like the First Order, but have cool red accents, like they unlocked a special skin, and you can see none of it here. And I know it was a really small scale, but like if they could have at least put some red on the side of the wings, it probably would have made it much better. So all in all, it was a pretty disappointing build, but it was still a nice build nevertheless. So I'm going to put it in C tier. Alright, after that there's the Snowspeeder. And the Snowspeeder, it's a pretty simple build. It had the little wing bits on the side along with the guns, and the little tow cable in the back, which they used to trip the AT-ATs. And it's a pretty flat build, but if you have the right pieces, you could easily upgrade it to make it fit better to like with a small scale. So for this one, I think I'll probably put it in due to its accuracy, I'd probably say that because of how accurate it is to the film, I'd probably say alright, I'll put this Snowspeeder here and put the Rey figure up here, because it is very accurate to the film, but there just isn't that much going on with it. And Rey, it's always good to have another Jedi figure, at least with the lightsaber. I always love having extra lightsabers on hand, so I'll keep it as that. Next we have the Razor Crest, and while I myself haven't watched The Mandalorian, I love what they're able to do here with how they're still able to have the engines and the guns here. But the thing that really confuses me here is that how they have the little extra studs from the 1x2 brick that had the double studs on opposite sides. They had those exposed there, and the last time I checked, the Razor Crest didn't have portholes on either side for it to stick cannons out of. And they could have easily fixed that by just slapping a 1x2 tile on either side, but they didn't. So while it was nice to see the nod to it in there, there were a lot of simple fixes that they could have done just to make it look a little bit nicer. So unfortunately, as much as I love the Razor Crest, I'm going to have to put it at the low end of B tier. The good thing about it was though is that because it was easily fixable, you could fix it yourself. Alright, now there's Farmer Luke, and Farmer Luke is, well, Farmer Luke. He has white robes sort of like right here. He has a pair of binoculars, which I don't really like those binoculars as much as the old ones, but that doesn't really have to do too much to the figure. And it is when I did get it, it was my first Luke figure, so that was nice for most first-time people who aren't able to get a ton of figures or a ton of sets. The advent calendars are a good way to get cool figures. So, while I love the character Luke, his figure, there isn't really that much that changed about it. It doesn't really appear that anything's exclusive for the figure. So I'm probably just gonna put him around here. He's not really... Sith Trooper is they're good for army building, because you'd probably rather have 10 Sith Troopers than 10 Luke Skywalkers. I mean, which one would look better in a battle scene? Alright, now this one here, this was a little bit confusing for me to figure it out. At first I thought it was Obi-Wan's hut, and then apparently a lot of people thought it was Luke's hut, so I'm just going to say it's a house on Tatooine. So it has the little moisture tower here, as well as the house with the little dome and little smaller half cylinders on the side for the house, and they were able to capture the basic geometry of the house quite nicely, along with the little moisture farming tower, and still be able to somehow get in some of the Tatooine desert. So I'm going to go ahead and put this up in A tier, mostly just for how they use the clever little pieces here to get the house geometry. And now we have the next two are probably going to be some of my favorites in the entire thing, but we have Poe Dameron with his festive BB-8 sweater. Now, I love these festive sweaters in LEGO. They're still Star Wars, but they're just something unique that I never thought that they would do. And it does come with a little gun in the cup, but we're not focusing with that because he has the amazing sweater, so this is going straight to the S tier. After that is Darth Vader with the same thing. He's got a red festive sweater with the Death Star on it. And same thing, I'm moving it up here, right next to Poe. Only reason he's slightly ahead of Vader is because I like BB-8 a little bit more. After that, there's Darth Vader's castle, which is a much better alternative to the gigantic one that they released a while back, because this one's actually affordable. And not only does it come with his castle, it comes with the little his little TIE fighter as well, which is about as small as you can get a TIE fighter and still recognize it as one. It has a little bit of lava on the front as well as the landscaping on the sides, and it captures the shape well. So this is also probably going to have to go into A tier. Yeah, probably above the Lucre Hulk. It's a very nice building. After that, we have the new Stormtrooper, and alongside everybody else, I do not like the new helmet. They have like the weird inner black molding, and it's just an ugly looking helmet. There's nothing really new with the torso or the legs, so this one's going straight to D tier. Then there's the Snowman Gonk Droid, and I preferred the one from last year a little bit more, the one that was a nice present. It had the bow, it didn't have really anything exposed that wasn't supposed to be, with the studs there being like allowed almost. Whereas with the snowman, like Snow doesn't have these weird perfect lumps sticking out like that. And then another problem I have is with the carrot, like it has the weird gray Technic pin in there that just takes away from it all. And then like the arms here, they're still green. Like it would have made more sense if it was a brown color, so it was actually like dead sticks. And then they try to give it a mouth, which I have no idea what possessed them to make such a decision. But then again, it is our Lord Gonk, so he has to go to S tier automatically. I mean, nobody can oppose the Great Gonks. After that is the Hoth shield generator, and I will say this was more accurate than the UCS version, which had only 3 rings, whereas this one has 4. So already big points in my book there. They got a little bit of snow surrounding it, and they're able to use the studs not on top technique to be able to get it to look like they're almost buried in the snow. So while it's not the most unique build, they did use the clever technique there to be able to get the look. So I'm going to put this up in A tier. Then there's the Tauntaun, which is it's a unique build, I will say. They've never done a Tauntaun this small before, and the clip that they used there was a little bit weird. But together, it sort of works, you know, you see it and you're like, you know that's a Tauntaun. Plus, there's the little red dot there, so it's almost like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Tauntaun. So this one I'll probably end up putting right next to the Snow Speeder. It's not accurate, but it's a nice build for what it is. Then here's the Pit Droid. The Pit Droid, I would have liked to see if they could, I don't know, maybe use a droid body to make it so it could fold up almost, how they do in the movies. But they do use the cool faucet piece to be able to make his head. And then they use the little arms there, as well as the 1x1 clips with after that a T-bar to be able to make his legs. And it's a cute little droid. I am a sucker for droids. I always find them really cute and some of my favorite characters. So he'll probably end up going to around low A tier, mostly because we haven't gotten a Pit Droid in a while and it was just nice to get one. And then there's then there's Anakin's Pod Racer. Moving on, there's the final one is the A-Wing, and this was the very first item in the 2020 Advent Calendar, and it really set it off with a bang compared to the horrible May the 4th promo that we got with the complete trash of a miniature A-Wing. This really redeemed its status that it could be made miniature and still good, because it had the guns on the side, it had the cool stripe going down the middle, as well as the little fins and the engines in the back. So this one goes straight up into S tier. And I'd say this is probably the best vehicle build out of everything here. So these are the final standings for my tier list. If you have different opinions, please let me know in the comments, and maybe come over to Tier Maker to make your very own tier list of the 2020 Advent Calendar. I'd like to hear what you guys think about it. Like and subscribe if you want. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of life, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.